Negotiation happens in everyday life more often than people realize. It appears in conversations at work, at home, and in simple decisions that shape your daily results. Many people enter these moments without a clear approach. They react quickly, they give in too easily, or they struggle to express what they truly want. Over time, this leads to missed opportunities and frustration. This audiobook is about changing that pattern, inside. You will learn how to stay calm when pressure increases, how to understand what people are really saying beyond their words, and how to guide conversations with steady control instead of emotional reaction. You will see how small changes in listenings, speaking, and timing can completely shift the outcome of a discussion. There is a focus on real situations, not theory. You will hear how to recognize emotion in conversations, how to ask better questions that reveal real needs, and how to handle disagreement without losing direction. You will also learn how silence, patience, and preparation can work together to strengthen your position in any negotiation. This is not about winning arguments. It is about building clarity, respect, and fair outcomes that last. If you often feel rushed in conversations, unsure during decisions, or overlooked in discussions, the lessons ahead will help you approach those moments with more control and confidence. Stay with this journey, because the way you communicate shapes the results you get in life. Chapter 1. Listen deeply to understand people before you respond. Most people believe negotiation begins when they start speaking, but the truth is far more uncomfortable and far more powerful. Negotiation begins the moment you choose to stay quiet and truly hear the other person. Not just their words, but their tone, their hesitation, their frustration, and even the parts they avoid saying. This is where real understanding starts, and without understanding, no agreement will ever hold real value. In daily life, people rush to respond. They interrupt, they prepare answers while the other person is still talking, and they assume they already know what is being said. This habit weakens relationships, weakens influence, and weakens outcomes. When a person feels unheard, they become defensive. When they become defensive, they stop being honest. And when honesty disappears, negotiation becomes shallow and ineffective. Deep listening is not passive. It is an active decision. It requires discipline. It requires control over your impulse to speak. It requires you to step out of your own thoughts and step into the perspective of another human being. This is not easy, but it is necessary if you want real results. Think about a simple conversation at home or at work. Someone expresses frustration. Instead of listening, most people react immediately. They try to fix the problem or defend themselves. In that moment, they lose the opportunity to understand the real issue. Often, what people say first is not the full truth. It is only the surface. The deeper concern sits underneath, waiting for someone patient enough to uncover it. When you listen deeply, you give the other person space. Space to think. Space to feel. Space to reveal what actually matters to them. This alone changes the entire direction of a conversation. People naturally open up when they feel safe. They share more. They explain more clearly. And when they do, you gain an advantage that cannot be replaced by clever words or fast thinking. Start with a simple habit. When someone speaks, do not interrupt. Even if you feel you already understand, hold your response. Let them finish completely. Then pause for a moment before you speak. This short pause sends a powerful message. It shows respect. It shows control. It shows that you value what was said enough to consider it carefully. During this pause, focus on what you heard, not what you want to say next. Ask yourself one simple question. What is this person really trying to tell me? Often, the real message is emotional rather than logical. They may be asking for respect, reassurance, fairness, or recognition. Words alone do not always reveal this. You must pay attention to tone, pace, and emotion. Another important habit is to reflect what you hear. This does not mean repeating words without thought. It means showing that you understand the meaning behind the words. For example, if someone says they are frustrated with a situation, you can respond by acknowledging that frustration clearly. This builds connection. It reduces tension. It shows that you are not ignoring their experience. This approach works in every area of life. In business, it helps you close better deals because you understand what the other side truly values. In relationships, it prevents unnecessary conflict because you address the real issue instead of reacting to surface problems. In daily interactions, it builds trust because people feel seen and heard. Many people underestimate how rare true listening is. Because it is rare, it becomes powerful. When you practice it consistently, people notice. They become more comfortable around you. They trust you more. They are more willing to share information that others would never hear. This gives you a clear advantage, not through force, but through understanding. There is also a deeper benefit. Listening deeply trains your mind. It strengthens your focus. It teaches patience. It reduces emotional reactions. Instead of being controlled by impulse, you become calm and deliberate. This calm presence is one of the strongest forms of influence. People are drawn to it. They respect it. In difficult conversations, this skill becomes even more important. When emotions are high, most people react quickly. They raise their voice. They defend their position. They stop listening completely. This only increases tension. It creates distance. It pushes both sides further away from a solution. In these moments, your ability to listen becomes your strength. Stay calm. Let the other person speak fully, even if their words are uncomfortable. Do not rush to correct them. Do not rush to defend yourself. Listen until they have nothing more to say. Often, once a person feels heard, their intensity decreases. Their tone softens. They become more open to hearing you as well. This is not weakness. It is control. It is discipline. It is a choice to manage your own emotions instead of reacting automatically. This level of control allows you to guide the conversation instead of being pulled into conflict. Another practical step is to remove distractions. When you are in a conversation, give it your full attention. Put away your phone. Maintain eye contact. Show through your body language that you are present. These small actions communicate respect and focus. They also improve your ability to catch subtle details that others might miss. Pay attention to what is not being said. Silence often carries meaning. A pause may indicate hesitation or discomfort. A change in tone may reveal uncertainty. These signals help you understand the full picture. When you notice them, you can respond with awareness instead of assumption. Ask simple follow-up questions that encourage clarity. Do not overwhelm the other person with too many questions. Keep them focused and calm. Questions such as asking for more detail or asking how a situation makes them feel can bring out valuable insights. These insights guide you toward better decisions. It is also important to control your internal dialogue. While someone is speaking, your mind will try to prepare responses, form judgments, or recall past experiences. This distracts you from the present moment. Train yourself to return your focus to the speaker. Each time your mind drifts, bring it back. This takes effort, but it becomes easier with practice. Listening deeply does not mean you agree with everything you hear. It means you understand it fully before you respond. This distinction is important. Understanding creates clarity. Clarity allows you to respond effectively. Without understanding, responses are often misplaced and ineffective. Consider how this applies to negotiation. If you do not fully understand the other person's needs, you cannot create a solution that satisfies both sides. You may win a short-term agreement, but it will not last. Real negotiation is not about quick wins. It is about creating outcomes that hold over time. This requires deep understanding. In everyday life, this principle can transform simple conversations. When a friend shares a problem, your role is not always to solve it immediately. Sometimes they need to feel heard first. When a colleague raises a concern, they may not only be asking for a solution, they may be asking for respect or recognition. Listening deeply allows you to respond in a way that addresses both the practical and emotional needs. There will be moments when listening feels uncomfortable. You may hear criticism. You may hear things you do not agree with. In these moments, stay grounded. Do not react immediately. Remind yourself that your goal is understanding, not defending. This mindset keeps you steady and focused. Over time, this practice changes how people respond to you. They become more open. They trust your presence. They are more willing to work with you. This creates better outcomes in every interaction. It also builds a reputation that strengthens your influence in the long term. Consistency is key. Listening deeply is not a one-time effort. It is a daily discipline. Practice it in small conversations. Practice it in important discussions. Practice it even when you feel tired or distracted. Each time you choose to listen instead of react, you strengthen this skill. The results may not always be immediate, but they are real. You will notice fewer misunderstandings. You will notice smoother conversations. You will notice that people respond to you with more respect and openness. These changes build over time, creating a strong foundation for success in negotiation and in life. This approach also helps you understand yourself. When you listen to others, you become aware of your own reactions. You notice when you feel defensive. You notice when you want to interrupt. This awareness gives you the chance to improve. It allows you to develop greater control over your thoughts and actions. In the long run, this is not just about negotiation. It is about becoming a person who communicates with clarity and purpose. It is about building relationships based on understanding and respect. It is about creating outcomes that are stable and meaningful. When you choose to listen deeply, you shift from reacting to responding. You move from assumption to understanding. You replace noise with clarity. This shift changes everything. It changes how people see you. It changes how you handle challenges. It changes the results you achieve. The next time you enter a conversation, remember this. Do not rush to speak. Do not rush to prove your point. Stay present. Listen fully. Let the other person express themselves completely. Then respond with clarity and purpose. This simple change can transform the way you communicate and the results you create. Make this your daily standard. Treat every conversation as an opportunity to practice. Over time, it will become natural. It will become part of who you are. And when it does, you will notice a clear difference in how people respond to you and how you handle every situation. True strength in negotiation does not come from speaking more. It comes from understanding more. And understanding begins with listening deeply before you respond. Chapter 2. Build trust by naming emotions with calm confidence. Trust is not built through clever words or strong arguments. It is built when a person feels understood at an emotional level. In any negotiation or conversation, emotions are always present, even when people try to hide them. Fear, frustration, doubt, hope, and pressure all influence decisions. Ignoring these emotions weakens your ability to connect. Recognizing them and naming them with calm confidence creates a sense of safety that opens the door to real progress. Most people avoid speaking about emotions because they feel uncertain or uncomfortable. They focus only on facts, numbers, and surface-level statements. But behind every statement is a feeling that drives it. When you learn to identify and name that feeling clearly, you shift the entire dynamic of the conversation. The other person begins to feel seen, and when that happens, resistance starts to lower. This does not require dramatic language or emotional intensity. It requires steady awareness and simple words delivered in a calm tone. For example, when someone speaks with tension in their voice, you may recognize frustration. When their answers are short and guarded, you may sense uncertainty or hesitation. These signals are not random. They are clues. Your role is to notice them and respond with clarity. A simple way to begin is by stating what you observe without judgment. You are not accusing or analyzing. You are acknowledging. You might say that it seems like something is causing concern, or that the situation feels stressful. The key is to keep your tone neutral and respectful. When done correctly, this approach does not create conflict. It creates relief. When a person hears their emotions named accurately, they often respond with openness. They may confirm what you said or expand on it. This is where the conversation becomes more meaningful. Instead of staying on the surface, you begin to understand the real issues that need attention. This level of understanding allows you to respond in a way that addresses both logic and emotion. Calm confidence is essential in this process. If your voice carries doubt or hesitation, your words lose strength. If your tone feels aggressive or forceful, the other person may become defensive. Balance is necessary. Speak clearly, slowly, and with steady control. This shows that you are present and aware. It also signals that you are not reacting emotionally, which encourages the other person to stay composed. In daily life, this skill can transform simple interactions. Imagine a conversation where someone is upset about a delay or a mistake. Instead of defending yourself immediately, you recognize the frustration they feel. You acknowledge it directly. This small shift can change the entire outcome. The person feels heard, and their emotional intensity begins to decrease. Only then does the conversation move toward solutions. This approach is especially valuable in difficult situations. When emotions are high, logic alone is not enough. People need their feelings recognized before they are willing to consider alternatives. By naming emotions with calm confidence, you create a bridge between tension and cooperation. You do not force agreement, you guide it. Practice observing emotions in everyday situations. Watch how people speak. Notice their tone, pace, and body language. These signals reveal more than words alone. When you train yourself to see these details, you gain a deeper understanding of every interaction. This awareness becomes a powerful tool that improves your communication in all areas of life. It is also important to manage your own emotions. You cannot effectively recognize the feelings of others if your own mind is unsettled. Stay grounded. If you feel tension rising within you, take a moment to breathe and regain control. This instability allows you to respond with clarity instead of reacting impulsively. There will be moments when your observation is not completely accurate. This is natural. The goal is not perfection. The goal is effort and awareness. If the other person corrects you, accept it calmly and adjust your understanding. This shows humility and respect. It also strengthens trust because it proves that your intention is genuine. Over time, this practice becomes more natural. You begin to notice patterns in how people express themselves. You become more confident in your ability to read situations. Conversations feel smoother because you are no longer guessing. You are responding based on real understanding. This skill also protects you from unnecessary conflict. When you address emotions early, you prevent them from building into larger problems. Small misunderstandings are resolved before they grow. This saves time, energy, and stress. It also creates a more positive environment in both personal and professional settings. Another benefit is that it encourages honesty. When people feel that their emotions are acknowledged, they are more likely to share their true thoughts. This honesty gives you valuable information. It allows you to make better decisions and create solutions that actually work. Use simple and direct language when naming emotions. Avoid complex explanations or long statements. Clarity is more effective than complexity. A short and thoughtful acknowledgement often has more impact than a detailed response. Focus on being clear and sincere. Timing also matters. Do not interrupt the flow of the conversation. Wait for the right moment to speak. This shows respect and allows your words to carry more weight. When you speak at the right time, your message is received more clearly. Consistency is what turns this skill into strength. Practice it in small conversations every day. Use it when speaking with friends, family, and colleagues. Each interaction is an opportunity to improve. Over time, this approach becomes a natural part of how you communicate. As you continue to develop this skill, you will notice a shift in how people respond to you. They become more open. They trust your presence. They are more willing to engage in honest and productive conversations. This trust is not built overnight, but it grows steadily with each interaction. This process also builds your own confidence. When you see the positive impact of your words, You begin to trust your ability to handle difficult situations. You become less anxious and more focused. This confidence strengthens your presence and improves your overall communication. In negotiation, this skill is especially powerful. It allows you to move beyond surface-level discussions and address real concerns that influence decisions. When you understand these concerns, you can create solutions that feel fair and balanced. This leads to stronger agreements that last over time. In life, the ability to build trust through emotional awareness is a lasting advantage. It improves relationships. It reduces conflict. It creates opportunities for growth and cooperation. It also helps you develop a deeper understanding of people and how they think. Make this a daily practice. Pay attention to emotions in every conversation. Name them with calm confidence. Stay steady in your tone. Stay clear in your words. Over time, this simple approach will transform the way you connect with others and the results you achieve. True communication is not only about what is said, it is about what is felt and understood. When you learn to recognize and name emotions with clarity and control, you create a strong foundation of trust. And from that foundation, every conversation becomes more meaningful and more effective. Chapter 3. Ask smart questions that reveal hidden needs. Most conversations stay on the surface because people ask shallow questions. They ask what is easy instead of what is necessary. As a result, they receive safe answers that reveal very little. If you want to understand what truly drives a decision, you must ask better questions. Not more questions, but smarter ones. Questions that guide the other person to think, reflect, and express what they usually keep hidden. Every person carries unspoken needs. These needs shape their behavior, influence their choices, and control how they respond under pressure. Some of these needs are practical, such as time, money, or resources. Others are emotional, such as security, respect, or control. If you only focus on what is obvious, you miss what matters most. The skill of asking smart questions allows you to move beyond the surface and uncover what is actually important. The first step is to shift your mindset. Do not ask questions to prove a point. Ask questions to understand. When your intention is clear, your tone becomes more natural, and the other person feels less resistance. This creates a space where honest answers can emerge. If your questions feel forced or aggressive, people will protect themselves and limit what they share. A strong question is simple and focused. It does not confuse or overwhelm. It invites the other person to explain their thinking in their own words. For example, instead of asking questions that can be answered with a simple yes or no, ask questions that require reflection. Encourage them to describe their perspective, their concerns, and their priorities. This approach leads to deeper insight. Timing is important. Do not rush into questions without first allowing the conversation to develop. Listen carefully, observe patterns, and then ask questions that connect directly to what has already been said. This shows that you are paying attention and that your questions are based on real interest rather than routine. Another important principle is to stay calm and patient while asking questions. Silence may follow your question, and that is not a problem. Give the other person time to think. Do not interrupt or fill the silence. Often, the most valuable answers come after a pause. That pause allows the person to move beyond automatic responses and consider what they truly want to say. When you receive an answer, do not immediately move to the next question. Take a moment to process what was said. If something is unclear or incomplete, ask a follow-up question that brings more clarity. This shows that you are engaged and that you value accuracy. It also encourages the other person to go deeper. There is also value in asking questions that explore challenges and concerns. People are often more open when discussing problems than when discussing strengths. By focusing on difficulties, you can uncover areas where support or change is needed. This information is valuable because it reveals opportunities for improvement and cooperation. It's important to maintain a respectful tone. Questions should never feel like an interrogation. They should feel like an invitation to share. The difference lies in your delivery. Speak calmly, maintain steady eye contact, and avoid rushing. When your presence is steady, your questions feel safe, and the other person is more willing to engage. You must also be aware of your own reactions. Some answers may not align with your expectations. In those moments, stay composed. Do not show frustration or disagreement too quickly. Your role is to understand first. If you react too soon, you may shut down the conversation and lose valuable information. Practice asking questions in everyday situations. When speaking with friends, colleagues, or family members, look for opportunities to go beyond basic conversation. Ask about their experiences, their challenges, and their goals. This practice builds your ability to ask better questions naturally, without overthinking. Another useful approach is to ask questions that clarify priorities. People often express multiple needs, but not all of them carry the same weight. By asking what matters most or what they value the most in a situation, you gain clarity. This helps you focus on what is truly important and avoid unnecessary distractions. In negotiation, this skill becomes a powerful advantage. When you understand the hidden needs of the other person, you can shape your approach more effectively. You are no longer guessing or relying on assumptions. You are working with real information that leads to better outcomes. This reduces conflict and increases the chances of reaching an agreement that satisfies both sides. Be mindful of the language you use. Keep your questions clear and direct. Avoid complicated words or long explanations. Simplicity allows the other person to focus on the meaning of a question rather than trying to interpret it. Clear questions lead to clear answers. Another key point is to avoid leading questions. Do not guide the other person toward a specific answer. Allow them to express their thoughts freely. This honesty is valuable, even if it challenges your expectations. True understanding comes from hearing what is real, not what is convenient. As you continue to practice, you will notice patterns in how people respond. Some may need more time to open up. Others may share quickly but lack depth. Adjust your approach based on the situation. Stay flexible and attentive. This adaptability strengthens your communication and helps you handle different personalities effectively. Asking smart questions also helps you learn. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to gain insight into how people think and what they value. This knowledge is not limited to one situation. It applies to many areas of life, including work, relationships, and personal growth. There will be moments when the conversation becomes difficult. The other person may avoid certain topics or give vague answers. In these situations, stay patient. Do not force the conversation. Instead, ask gentle follow-up questions that encourage clarity without creating pressure. This approach keeps the conversation open and respectful. Your goal is not to control the conversation. Your goal is to guide it toward understanding. This requires balance. You must lead with your questions while allowing the other person to express themselves fully. When this balance is achieved, the conversation becomes productive and meaningful. Over time, this skill becomes a natural part of how you communicate. You begin to ask better questions without thinking too much about it. Your conversations become deeper and more effective. People respond to you with more openness and trust because they feel that you genuinely want to understand them. This practice also strengthens your confidence. When you know how to ask the right questions, you feel more prepared in any situation. You rely less on guesswork and more on clear information. This reduces uncertainty and improves your ability to make decisions. In daily life, this approach can change the way you interact with others. It helps you build stronger relationships because you understand people on a deeper level. It reduces misunderstandings because you clarify details before making assumptions. It also creates a sense of respect because you show genuine interest in what others have to say. Make it a habit to pause and think before asking a question. Choose your words carefully. Focus on what you truly want to understand. This intention shapes the quality of your questions and the value of the answers you receive. True communication is built on understanding, and understanding begins with the right questions. When you learn to ask questions that reveal hidden needs, you gain insight that others often miss. This insight allows you to respond with clarity, create better solutions, and build stronger connections. Carry this skill into every conversation. Practice it consistently. Stay patient, stay focused, and stay curious. Over time, you will see a clear difference in how people respond to you and in the results you achieve. Chapter 4. Practice steady patience when pressure tries to rush. Pressure changes behavior faster than almost anything else. It makes people speak too quickly, agree too soon, and accept outcomes they later regret. In negotiation and in daily life, pressure often appears as urgency. Someone pushes for a fast decision, time feels limited, the situation feels intense. In these moments, patience becomes your greatest strength. Not passive waiting, but steady control over your pace, your thoughts, and your actions. Most mistakes happen when people feel rushed. They stop thinking clearly. They focus only on ending the discomfort instead of making a good decision. This is where discipline is tested. When pressure rises, your instinct may be to react immediately, to answer quickly, to agree just to move forward. But reacting under pressure often leads to weak outcomes. You may gain short-term relief, but you lose long-term value. Steady patience allows you to slow the moment down. It gives you space to think, to observe, and to choose your response carefully. This does not mean you ignore the situation or avoid decisions. It means you control the timing instead of letting the situation control you. This small shift creates a powerful advantage. Start by recognizing the signs of pressure. A fast tone, repeated demands for quick answers, or a sense of urgency without clear reason are all signals. When you notice these signs, pause internally. Do not match the speed of the other person. Maintain your own rhythm. This calm pace shows confidence and control. It also prevents you from being pushed into decisions that do not serve your goals. Your breathing plays an important role in this process. When pressure increases, your body reacts. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your heart rate rises. This affects your thinking. By slowing your breath, you send a signal to your body that you are in control. This simple action helps you stay grounded and focused. It allows your mind to remain clear, even when the situation feels intense. Another important step is to give yourself time before responding. A brief pause can change the quality of your answer. It allows you to consider your options instead of reacting automatically. This pause may feel uncomfortable at first, especially if the other person expects an immediate reply. But over time, it becomes a natural part of your communication. It shows that you are thoughtful and deliberate. Patience also means being comfortable with silence. Silence often feels awkward, especially in high-pressure situations. Many people try to fill it quickly, which leads to unnecessary words or weak commitments. When you stay silent, you create space. This space can encourage the other person to speak more, to clarify their position, or to reveal information they would not have shared otherwise. In practical situations, patience helps you avoid costly mistakes. Imagine being offered a deal with a strict deadline. The pressure to decide quickly may push you toward acceptance without full understanding. Instead, steady patience allows you to ask for more time. Review the details and consider the long-term impact. This approach protects your interests and leads to better outcomes. Patience also strengthens your emotional control. When someone tries to rush you, they may also try to create emotional tension. They may show frustration or impatience. If you react emotionally, you lose clarity. By staying calm, you maintain your focus. You respond with intention instead of reacting to pressure. This calm presence often reduces the intensity of the situation. It is important to understand that not all urgency is real. Some pressure is created intentionally to influence your decisions. When you recognize this, you become less affected by it. You begin to question the need for speed. You ask yourself whether the situation truly requires immediate action, or if it can be handled with more thought. This awareness protects you from being controlled by external pressure. In daily life, this skill improves many interactions. When facing a disagreement, patience allows you to listen fully before responding. When dealing with a challenging task, patience helps you stay focused instead of rushing through the process. When making important decisions, patience ensures that you consider all factors before acting. There will be moments when waiting feels difficult. You may feel the urge to act quickly just to move forward. In these moments, remind yourself of the cost of rushed decisions. Think about times when acting too quickly led to regret. Use those experiences as a guide. Let them strengthen your commitment to patience. Another practical approach is to set clear boundaries around your decision-making or process. Let others know that you value thoughtful consideration. This does not need to be stated aggressively. A calm and firm tone is enough. When people understand that you do not rush decisions, they adjust their expectations. This reduces pressure over time. Patience also allows you to gather more information. When you slow down, you notice details that others miss. You observe changes in tone, behavior, and context. These details provide valuable insight. They help you understand the situation more clearly and make better choices. This approach builds trust as well. When you remain steady under pressure, people see you as reliable. They recognize that you do not act impulsively. This reliability strengthens your reputation and increases your influence. Others feel more confident engaging with you because they know you will handle situations with care. In negotiation, patience often leads to better agreements. When you do not rush, you create space for the conversation to develop. You allow time for new information to emerge. You give both sides the opportunity to explore options more fully. This process leads to solutions that are more balanced and sustainable. Practice patience in small moments. When waiting in line, when dealing with delays, or when facing minor frustrations, use these situations as training. Stay calm, stay present. Do not allow irritation to take control. These small exercises build your ability to remain steady in larger situations. Your mindset plays a key role in maintaining patience. View time as an ally rather than an obstacle. Understand that taking time to think is not a weakness. It is a strength. It shows that you value quality over speed. This perspective changes how you approach decisions and interactions. Over time, this habit becomes part of your character. You no longer feel the need to react quickly. You become comfortable with your pace. You trust your ability to handle pressure without losing control. This confidence allows you to navigate complex situations with clarity and purpose. There will still be moments of urgency that require quick action. Patience does not mean avoiding action when it is necessary. It means choosing your response with awareness. Even in fast-moving situations, a brief moment of clarity can improve your decision. The goal is not to slow everything down, but to remain in control regardless of the pace. As you continue to develop this skill, you will notice a shift in how you experience pressure. It becomes less overwhelming. It feels more manageable. You gain the ability to stay focused and composed even when others feel rushed. This steadiness becomes one of your greatest strengths. Carry this approach into every area of your life. Whether you are making a decision, handling a challenge, or engaging in a conversation, maintain your pace. Stay grounded. Stay thoughtful. Let patience guide your actions. True strength is not shown by how fast you respond, but by how well you manage your response under pressure. When you practice steady patience, you protect your decisions, improve your outcomes, and build a strong foundation for long-term success. Chapter 5. Use silence to encourage honest and useful answers. Silence is often misunderstood as weakness or lack of control, but in reality it is one of the most precise tools you can use in any conversation. Most people feel uncomfortable when there is a pause, so they rush to fill it with words. In doing so, they lose the chance to hear what truly matters. When used with awareness, silence creates space for truth. It gives the other person time to think, to reflect, and to speak more honestly. In many conversations, the first answer you receive is not the complete one. It is usually quick, safe, and limited. People protect themselves by giving simple responses. They may not fully express their concerns or needs right away. If you respond immediately, you accept that surface-level answer. But when you remain silent for a moment, something interesting happens. The other person often continues speaking. They add more detail. They reveal thoughts they did not plan to share. This is where real insight begins. Silence works because it removes pressure from you and places gentle pressure on the other person to expand their response. This is not manipulation. It is allowing the conversation to breathe. When people are given space, they naturally try to fill it. In that process, they often move closer to honesty. Using silence requires control. Your instinct will be to speak, especially when a pause feels long or uncomfortable. You may feel the urge to explain, clarify, or move the conversation forward. Resisting that urge is a form of discipline. It shows that you are not reacting to discomfort. You are guiding the interaction with intention. Your body language matters during silence. Stay relaxed. Maintain a calm expression. Keep your posture open and steady. These signals communicate that you are present and attentive. If your body shows tension or impatience, the silence becomes awkward instead of productive. The goal is to create a space that feels safe, not pressured. Consider a simple situation where you ask a question and receive a short answer. Instead of asking another question immediately, pause. Let the moment settle. Often, the other person will add more information without being prompted. They may clarify their position or reveal a concern they did not mention before. This additional information can change your understanding completely. Silence is especially powerful after a key statement. When someone shares something important, do not rush to respond. Let the weight of their words remain for a moment. This shows respect and gives them the opportunity to continue if they choose. It also allows you to process what was said more deeply. In negotiation, silence can shift the balance of the conversation. After presenting an idea or proposal, many people feel the need to justify it immediately. They continue speaking, adding explanations that may weaken their position. By staying silent, you allow the other person to react first. Their response provides valuable insight into their thinking. You learn more by listening than by speaking. There is also value in using silence when emotions are present. If the other person expresses frustration or concern, avoid the urge to respond instantly. Give them time to release what they need to say. Interrupting or reacting too quickly can escalate the situation. Silence, when used with calm presence, allows emotions to settle naturally. This approach requires patience. Silence is not about waiting without purpose. It is about holding space with awareness. During that space you observe. You notice changes in tone, expression, and energy. These details help you understand the situation more clearly. They guide your next response. Practice this skill in everyday conversations. When speaking with others, notice how often you feel the urge to fill silence. Instead of acting on that urge, pause. Allow the moment to exist without words. At first, it may feel unusual. Over time, it becomes more natural. You begin to see how silence improves the quality of your interactions. Another important aspect is knowing when to break the silence. If the pause becomes too long or uncomfortable without purpose, gently guide the conversation forward. Use a calm and simple statement or question. The goal is balance. Silence should support the conversation, not stop it. Silence also helps you manage your own thoughts. When you are not speaking, you have time to reflect. You can organize your ideas and choose your words carefully. This leads to clearer and more effective communication. Instead of reacting quickly, you respond with intention. In personal relationships, silence can create deeper connection. When someone shares something meaningful, your quiet attention shows respect. It tells them that their words matter. This builds trust and encourages openness. People feel more comfortable expressing themselves when they are not interrupted or rushed. There will be moments when silence feels challenging. You may worry that the conversation is losing momentum. You may feel uncertain about what to do next. In these moments, trust the process. Silence is not empty. It is active. It allows the conversation to develop naturally. This practice also reduces unnecessary conflict. When you do not react immediately, you avoid saying things that may create tension. You give yourself time to consider your response. This leads to more thoughtful and balanced communication. It prevents small issues from becoming larger problems. Silence can also reveal truth through contrast. When you remain quiet, the other person's words stand out more clearly. You hear not only what they say, but how they say it. This deeper awareness helps you understand their perspective more fully. It gives you a clearer picture of their intentions and concerns. As you develop this skill, you will notice a change in how people respond to you. They may speak more openly. They may share more details. They may feel more comfortable in your presence. This is the result of creating a space where they feel heard without pressure. In professional settings, this approach can improve decision-making. When discussions include thoughtful pauses, ideas are considered more carefully. This leads to better outcomes. Quick reactions are replaced with deliberate thinking. The quality of communication improves. Make silence a part of your daily discipline. Use it intentionally. Do not see it as a gap that needs to be filled. See it as a tool that adds value. Each pause is an opportunity to understand more, to think more clearly, and to respond more effectively. Over time, this habit becomes natural. You no longer feel the need to speak constantly. You become comfortable with stillness. This calm presence strengthens your communication and increases your influence. People respect those who speak with purpose and listen with patience. True communication is not measured by how much you say. It is measured by how well you understand and how effectively you respond. Silence helps you achieve both. It creates space for honesty. It allows useful answers to emerge. It turns simple conversations into meaningful exchanges. Carry this practice into every interaction. Stay aware, stay patient, use silence with intention. You will find that it brings clarity, builds trust, and leads to stronger outcomes in every area of your life. Chapter 6. Recognize fear and guide talks toward mutual respect. Fear is present in more conversations than most people realize. It does not always appear as panic or visible anxiety. It often shows itself in subtle ways such as hesitation, resistance, defensiveness, or even silence. When fear enters a conversation, it shapes how people think, how they respond, and how they make decisions. If fear is ignored, communication becomes guarded and unproductive. If fear is recognized and handled with care, the conversation can shift toward clarity and mutual respect. Many people approach discussions with the goal of winning or proving a point. This approach increases tension and often strengthens the fear on both sides. When someone feels threatened, they protect themselves. They hold back information. They resist new ideas. They focus on defending their position instead of working toward a solution. This creates distance and makes progress difficult. Recognizing fear requires attention and awareness. You must look beyond words and observe behavior. Notice when someone avoids direct answers or changes the subject. Notice when their tone becomes sharp or when they seem unusually quiet. These are signals that something deeper is influencing their response. It may not be obvious, but it is there. Once you recognize these signs, your role is not to confront the fear directly with force. Your role is to create an environment where fear can reduce naturally. This begins with your own presence. Stay calm. Keep your voice steady. Avoid sudden reactions. Your behavior sets the tone for the interaction. When you remain composed, you show that the situation is safe and manageable. Respect plays a central role in reducing fear. People need to feel that their perspective matters, even if it differs from yours. This does not mean you agree with everything they say. It means you acknowledge their right to express it. When someone feels respected, their fear begins to fade. They become more open to dialogue and more willing to listen. One practical way to guide the conversation is by acknowledging concerns without judgment. When a person feels that their worries are dismissed, their fear increases. When their concerns are recognized, even briefly, they feel understood. This simple act can change the direction of the conversation. It replaces him with cooperation. It is also important to avoid language that creates pressure or threat. Words that sound demanding or absolute can increase fear. Instead, use language that invites discussion. Keep your tone neutral and your words clear. This approach reduces defensiveness and encourages a more balanced exchange. Your patience is essential in these moments. Fear does not disappear instantly. It takes time for people to feel comfortable enough to express themselves openly. Do not rush the process. Allow the conversation to develop at a steady pace. This patience shows that you are not trying to control the situation, but to understand it. Guiding a conversation toward mutual respect also requires you to manage your own reactions. If you feel challenged or criticized, it is easy to respond defensively. This reaction can increase tension and reinforce fear. Instead, pause and focus on the purpose of the conversation. Remind yourself that the goal is understanding and resolution, not winning. Ask questions that encourage clarity and openness. Focus on understanding the other person's perspective rather than challenging it immediately. This approach allows them to explain their position more fully. As they speak, their fear may begin to decrease because they feel heard. There will be moments when the other person expresses strong emotions. In these situations, your calm presence becomes even more important. Do not match their intensity. Stay steady. Allow them to express what they need to say without interruption. Once they feel heard, their emotional state often stabilizes, making it easier to move forward. Mutual respect is built through consistent behavior. It is not created by one statement or one action. It develops over time as both sides experience a sense of fairness and understanding. Your role is to contribute to this process through your words, your tone, and your actions. In practical terms, this means avoiding personal attacks or dismissive comments. Focus on the issue, not the individual. Keep the conversation centered on solutions rather than blame. This approach maintains a respectful environment and prevents the situation from becoming personal. Fear can also exist within you. You may feel uncertain about the outcome or concerned about how the other person will respond. Recognizing your own fear is just as important as recognizing it in others. When you are aware of your internal state, you can manage it more effectively. This awareness prevents your fear from influencing your behavior in negative ways. Developing this skill requires practice. In everyday interactions, look for signs of discomfort or hesitation. Use these moments as opportunities to respond with patience and respect. Over time, your ability to recognize and address fear will improve. You will become more confident in handling difficult conversations. This approach strengthens relationships. When people feel safe and respected, they are more likely to engage honestly. This honesty leads to better understanding and more effective solutions. It also creates a foundation of trust that supports future interactions. In professional settings, guiding conversations toward mutual respect improves teamwork and decision-making. When individuals feel comfortable expressing their ideas, the quality of discussion increases. Different perspectives are considered, and better outcomes are achieved. Fear is replaced by collaboration. There will be situations where fear is deeply rooted and not easily reduced. In these cases, your role is to remain consistent. Continue to demonstrate respect. Continue to listen and respond with care. Even if progress is slow, your steady approach can create gradual change. It is important to remember that respect does not weaken your position. It strengthens it. When you communicate with respect, you maintain control of the conversation. You create an environment where solutions are possible. This is far more effective than trying to force agreement through pressure or dominance. As you continue to practice this skill, you will notice a shift in how conversations unfold. Tension decreases more quickly, discussions become more productive. People respond to you with greater openness and cooperation. This is the result of creating a space where fear is acknowledged and managed with care. Carry this approach into every interaction. Stay aware of the emotional dynamics at play. Respond with calm confidence. Guide the conversation toward understanding and respect. Over time, this habit will become a natural part of how you communicate. True influence comes from the ability to connect with others in a way that reduces fear and builds trust. When you recognize fear and respond with steady respect, you create conditions where meaningful dialogue can occur. This leads to stronger relationships, better decisions, and lasting results. Chapter 7. Stay prepared so every conversation supports your goals. Preparation is the quiet force behind every effective conversation. What people see on the surface is confidence, clarity, and control. But what creates those qualities is the work done before a single word is spoken. When you enter a conversation without preparation, you rely on instinct and reaction. This leads to uncertainty, missed opportunities, and weak outcomes. When you prepare with intention, every word you say carries direction and purpose. Most people underestimate how much preparation shapes the result of a discussion. They focus on what they will say in the moment, but they do not take time to define what they truly want. Without clear goals, conversations drift. You may speak well, but you move without direction. Preparation begins by deciding what matters most to you in that interaction. Not everything holds equal value. You must identify your priorities before you engage. Start by asking yourself what outcome you are aiming for. Be specific. A vague intention leads to vague results. When your goal is clear, your thinking becomes more focused. You begin to filter information based on what supports that goal. This clarity allows you to stay on track even when the conversation shifts. Understanding the other person is also part of preparation. Consider what they may want, what concerns they might have, and what pressures they could be facing. This is not guesswork for control. It is awareness that helps you communicate more effectively. When you consider their perspective in advance, you are less likely to be surprised. You respond with intention instead of confusion. Preparation also involves organizing your thoughts. If your ideas are scattered, your communication will reflect that. Take time to structure what you want to express. Keep it simple and direct. Focus on the key points that support your goal. This reduces unnecessary words and keeps the conversation clear. Another important part of preparation is anticipating possible responses. Think about how the other person might react to what you say. They may agree, disagree, or ask questions. By considering these possibilities, you reduce uncertainty. You are ready to respond calmly instead of being caught off guard. Your emotional state matters as well. Entering a conversation with tension or distraction weakens your presence. Preparation includes creating a calm and focused mindset. Take a moment before the conversation to center yourself. Breathe steadily. Clear your thoughts. This mental preparation allows you to remain composed even if the situation becomes challenging. In practical situations, preparation can be as simple as reviewing key details or as involved as planning different approaches. The level of preparation depends on the importance of the conversation. For small daily interactions, a brief moment of clarity may be enough. For important discussions, more time and thought are required. Preparation does not mean you control every outcome. It means you control your readiness. You cannot predict everything, but you can prepare for many possibilities. This readiness gives you confidence. It allows you to adapt without losing direction. When you are prepared, you listen differently. You are not distracted by trying to figure out your next move. You have already done that work. This frees your attention to focus on the other person. You notice details. You understand their responses more clearly. This awareness improves the quality of the conversation. Prepared individuals also communicate with more precision. They avoid unnecessary explanations. They speak with purpose. Each word supports their goal. This clarity makes it easier for others to understand and respond. It also reduces confusion and misunderstanding. There will be moments when the conversation moves in an unexpected direction. Preparation does not prevent this. It equips you to handle it. When you have a clear goal and organized thinking, you can adjust your approach without losing focus. You remain steady even when the situation changes. Another benefit of preparation is that it reduces anxiety. Uncertainty often creates stress. When you take time to prepare, you replace uncertainty with clarity. You know what you want. You know how to express it. This reduces hesitation and improves your confidence. In daily life, preparation can be applied to simple conversations. Before speaking with someone about an issue, take a moment to think about your purpose. What do you want to achieve from this interaction? How can you express it clearly? This small effort can change the outcome of even basic discussions. Preparation also helps you manage time effectively. Conversations become more focused and efficient. You avoid unnecessary detours. You stay aligned with your goal. This is especially important in professional settings where time is limited. It is important to remain flexible. Preparation is a guide, not a rigid plan. If you hold too tightly to a script, you may miss important information. Stay open to new insights. Adjust your approach when needed. Balance preparation with awareness. Your tone and delivery are part of your preparation. Think about how you will present your ideas. A calm and steady tone increases clarity and trust. Practice speaking in a way that is clear and respectful. This preparation improves how your message is received. Another key element is knowing your limits and understand what you are willing to accept and what you are not. This clarity prevents you from making decisions that do not align with your goals. When you know your boundaries, you communicate with more confidence. Preparation also includes reviewing past experiences. Think about what has worked well and what has not. Use these insights to improve your approach. Each conversation becomes a learning opportunity that strengthens your future preparation. In negotiation, preparation is often the difference between a strong outcome and a weak one. Those who prepare thoroughly understand both their position and the situation. They enter the discussion with clarity and confidence. This allows them to guide the conversation more effectively. Consistency is important. Preparation should become a habit, not an occasional effort. The more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. You begin to approach every conversation with intention. This consistency improves your results over time. As you develop this habit, you will notice a shift in how you communicate. You become more focused. You waste fewer words. You stay aligned with your goals. People respond to you with more clarity because your communication is clear. Preparation also builds discipline. It requires effort and attention before the conversation begins. This effort pays off during the interaction. You remain steady and purposeful. You avoid unnecessary mistakes. In personal relationships, preparation helps you express your thoughts more clearly. It reduces misunderstandings. It allows you to communicate with care and intention. This strengthens your connections and improves the quality of your interactions. There will be times when preparation feels like extra work. You may feel tempted to rely on instinct. While instinct can be useful, it is not always reliable. Preparation provides a stable foundation. It supports your instinct and improves your decision-making. As you continue to practice, you will rely less on guesswork. You will approach conversations with clarity and purpose. This shift increases your confidence and improves your outcomes. Carry this approach into every area of your life. Before important conversations, take time to prepare. Define your goal. Organize your thoughts. Consider the other person. Create a calm mindset. This process strengthens your communication and guides your actions. True effectiveness in conversation comes from intention and readiness. When you prepare with care, every interaction becomes more focused and meaningful. You do not leave outcomes to chance. You guide them with clarity and discipline. Stay committed to this practice. Let preparation become part of your daily routine. Over time, it will shape how you think, how you speak, and how you achieve your goals. Chapter 8. Protect your value while seeking fair agreements. Every agreement carries a quiet test. It asks whether you respect your own value or whether you trade it away for comfort, approval, or speed. Many people enter conversations with good intentions, but leave with outcomes that do not serve them because they were too willing to give up what matters. Protecting your value is not about being difficult or rigid. It is about being clear, steady, and honest about what you bring and what you require in return. Value begins with self-awareness. If you do not understand what you offer, you will struggle to defend it. Take time to define your strengths, your effort, your time, and your standards. These are not abstract ideas. They are real contributions that deserve recognition. When you are clear about your value, you speak with certainty. You do not hesitate or second-guess your position. Many people lower their value without realizing it. They agree too quickly. They accept less than what is fair. They avoid asking for what they need because they fear rejection or conflict. This behavior may create short-term comfort, but it weakens long-term outcomes. When you consistently accept less, others begin to expect it. Over time, this becomes your standard. Protecting your value requires discipline. It means staying aligned with your standards, even when it feels uncomfortable. You may face pressure to compromise quickly. You may hear arguments that try to make you doubt your position. In these moments, your clarity becomes your anchor. Remind yourself of what you have decided before the conversation began. This prevents you from being pulled away from your goals. At the same time, seeking fair agreements means you are not focused only on your own benefit. A strong agreement considers both sides. It creates balance. It respects the needs and contributions of everyone involved. This balance is what makes agreements sustainable. When both sides feel respected, they are more likely to honor the outcome. Fairness does not mean equal in every detail. It means appropriate and reasonable based on the situation. Each side may contribute different things. Each side may have different priorities. Your role is to understand these differences and work toward a solution that feels right for both sides without reducing your own value. Clarity in communication is essential. Express your position in a direct and calm manner. Avoid vague language. Be specific about what you expect and why it matters. This reduces confusion and helps the other person understand your perspective. When your message is clear, it is easier to build a fair agreement. There will be moments when the other person tries to push for more than what is reasonable. They may use pressure, urgency, or persuasion. In these situations, stay steady. Do not react emotionally. Maintain your position with calm confidence. This shows that you are not easily influenced by pressure. It also signals that you respect your own value. Saying no is part of protecting your value. Many people avoid this because they fear losing the opportunity. However, accepting an unfair agreement can be more damaging than walking away. A clear and respectful refusal can strengthen your position. It shows that you have standards and that you are willing to uphold them. This does not mean rejecting every proposal that is not perfect. It means evaluating each option carefully. Consider whether it aligns with your priorities. Consider whether it respects your contribution. If it does not, you have the right to decline or to suggest adjustments. Listening remains important in this process. Understanding the other person's perspective helps you find solutions that work for both sides. When you listen with attention, you identify areas where flexibility is possible without reducing your core value. This creates space for creative agreements. Another important aspect is timing. Do not rush decisions. Take the time you need to evaluate the situation. A thoughtful decision is more valuable than a quick one. When you move at a steady pace, you maintain control over the process. This reduces the risk of making choices that you later regret. Confidence plays a key role in how your value is perceived. When you speak with certainty, Others are more likely to respect your position. This confidence comes from preparation and self-awareness. It is not about being aggressive. It is about being clear and composed. In practical situations, protecting your value may involve setting clear boundaries. Define what you are willing to accept and what you are not. Communicate these boundaries calmly. When boundaries are clear, they guide the conversation and prevent misunderstandings. It is also important to recognize when an agreement is not possible. Not every situation will lead to a fair outcome. In these cases, the best decision may be to walk away. This requires courage and discipline. It also protects your long-term interests. Over time, this approach builds a strong reputation. People begin to understand that you value fairness and consistency. They know that you will not accept less than what is reasonable. This reputation influences how others approach you in future conversations. In personal relationships, protecting your value strengthens respect and balance. It prevents situations where one side gives more than they receive. It encourages open communication and new understanding. This creates healthier and more stable connections. In professional settings, this approach improves decision-making and results. It ensures that agreements are based on clear understanding rather than pressure or assumption. This leads to outcomes that are more effective and sustainable. It is important to remain calm and respectful throughout the process. Protecting your value does not require force or conflict. It requires clarity and consistency. When you stay composed, you maintain control of the conversation. This increases your ability to guide it toward a fair outcome. Practice this skill in everyday interactions. Start with small situations. Notice when you feel the urge to agree too quickly. Pause and consider whether the agreement reflects your value. Adjust your response accordingly. These small actions build your confidence and strengthen your approach. As you continue to develop this habit, you will notice a shift in how you approach decisions. You become more deliberate. You rely less on external pressure and more on your own standards. This independence improves your outcomes and increases your confidence. There will be challenges along the way. You may face resistance or disagreement. Stay focused on your principles. Use these moments as opportunities to strengthen your discipline. Each experience adds to your understanding and improves your ability to handle future situations. Protecting your value while seeking fair agreements is a balance that requires awareness, discipline, and patience. It is not about winning at the expense of others. It is about creating outcomes that respect both sides while maintaining your standards. Carry this mindset into every conversation. Be clear about what you bring. Be steady in how you communicate. Be thoughtful in how you evaluate options. This approach ensures that your decisions reflect your true value. In the long run, this habit shapes how others see you and how you see yourself. It builds confidence, strengthens relationships, and leads to outcomes that are both fair and meaningful. When you protect your value with clarity and seek balance with respect, you create a strong foundation for success in every area of life. Chapter 9. Turn conflict into cooperation through clear thinking. Conflict is not a failure of communication. It is a signal that two perspectives do not yet align. Most people react to conflict as if it is something to avoid or suppress, but avoiding it often creates deeper problems. When handled with clear thinking, conflict becomes an opportunity to improve understanding and build stronger outcomes. The difference lies in how you approach it. When conflict appears, emotions tend to rise quickly. Frustration, irritation, and tension begin to influence how people think and speak. In this state, reactions become fast and unfiltered. Words are used without care. The focus shifts from solving the issue to defending positions. This is where most conversations break down. Clear thinking is what prevents this breakdown. It allows you to step out of emotional reaction and return to purposeful communication. The first step is to pause internally. When you feel the initial reaction building, do not act on it immediately. Recognize it without judgment. This moment of awareness creates space between feeling and action. In that space, you regain control. You choose your response instead of being driven by impulse. This control is the foundation of clear thinking. Next, focus on the actual issue rather than the surrounding tension. Conflict often becomes complicated because attention shifts to tone, attitude, or past experiences. While these elements may feel important, they distract from the core problem. Bring your attention back to what needs to be resolved. Define it clearly in your mind. This clarity reduces confusion and helps guide the conversation. It is also important to separate the person from the problem. When conflict becomes personal, cooperation becomes difficult. People feel attacked and respond defensively. By focusing on the issue instead of the individual, you maintain respect and create a space where solutions can be explored. This approach keeps the conversation productive. Clear thinking requires accurate understanding. Do not assume you fully understand the other person's position. Ask for clarification when needed. Listen carefully to their explanation. Pay attention to the details. When you understand their perspective clearly, you can respond more effectively. Misunderstanding is a common source of unnecessary conflict. Your language plays a critical role in shaping the direction of the conversation. Use words that are direct and neutral. Avoid statements that assign blame or create pressure. Instead of focusing on what is wrong, focus on what needs to be addressed. This shift in language reduces defensiveness and encourages cooperation. Maintain a steady tone throughout the interaction. Even if the other person becomes emotional, your calm presence can help stabilize the situation. Do not mirror their intensity. Stay consistent in your delivery. This consistency shows control and encourages the other person to adjust their tone as well. Another important aspect is to identify shared goals. Even in conflict, there is often some level of common interest. It may be the desire to solve a problem, complete a task, or maintain a relationship. Bringing attention to these shared goals helps both sides move away from opposition and toward collaboration. It creates a sense of alignment when you guide the conversation toward cooperation. Focus on solutions rather than positions. Positions are fixed and often lead to resistance. Solutions are flexible and allow for creativity. Explore different options. Consider what can be adjusted or improved. This approach opens the door to outcomes that satisfy both sides. Patience is essential during this process. Conflict does not resolve instantly. It requires time and effort to move from tension to cooperation. Rushing the process can lead to incomplete solutions. Allow the conversation to develop naturally. Stay focused on progress rather than speed. In practical situations, clear thinking helps you avoid escalation. When you respond with control, you prevent small disagreements from becoming larger issues. This saves time and energy. It also preserves relationships by reducing unnecessary tension. It is important to remain open to new information. Conflict often reveals perspectives that were not considered before. Instead of rejecting these perspectives immediately, evaluate them carefully. There may be valuable insights that improve the overall outcome. This openness strengthens your ability to adapt and learn. Your mindset influences how you handle conflict. If you see it as a threat, you will respond defensively. If you see it as an opportunity for improvement, you will approach it with curiosity and focus. This shift in perspective changes your behavior and improves your results. In daily life, this approach can transform how you handle disagreements, whether it is a discussion at work or a conversation at home. Clear thinking allows you to stay composed and focused. You avoid unnecessary arguments and work toward practical solutions. Consistency in this practice builds confidence. Each time you handle conflict with clarity, you reinforce your ability to manage difficult situations. Over time, this becomes a natural part of how you communicate. You no longer feel overwhelmed by disagreement. You see it as a process that can be guided. There will be moments when the other person is not ready to cooperate. In these cases, maintain your approach. Do not allow their behavior to change your standard. Stay calm. Stay focused. Sometimes your steady presence is enough to shift the dynamic over time. It is also important to recognize when to pause the conversation. If emotions become too intense, continuing may not be productive. Taking a break allows both sides to regain composure. When the conversation resumes, it can proceed with greater clarity. Clear thinking also involves self-reflection. After a conflict, take time to review what happened. Consider what worked well and what could be improved. This reflection strengthens your skills and prepares you for future situations. In negotiation, the ability to turn conflict into cooperation is a valuable strength. It allows you to move beyond opposition and create agreements that benefit both sides. This leads to more stable and lasting outcomes in relationships. This approach builds trust and respect. When conflicts are handled with care and clarity, they strengthen the connection rather than weaken it. People feel heard and valued, which improves communication over time. Carry this practice into every interaction. When conflict arises, pause, think clearly, and guide the conversation with intention. Focus on understanding, maintain respect, and work towards solutions that align both sides. True strength in unionization is not the absence of conflict. It is the ability to handle it with clarity and purpose. When you apply clear thinking, you transform tension into cooperation and create outcomes that are both effective and lasting. Chapter 10. Repeat these habits daily until negotiation becomes natural. Mastery in negotiation does not come from a single moment of insight. It comes from repetition, from doing the same disciplined actions again and again until they stop feeling like techniques and become part of how you naturally think and speak. Most people learn ideas but fail to repeat them long enough for them to shape behavior. As a result, their communication stays inconsistent. One day they listen well, the next day they react too quickly. One moment they are patient, the next they rush decisions. Real change only happens when habits become automatic. Repetition is what turns effort into identity. At first, every skill feels deliberate. You think about when to pause, how to listen, when to stay silent, how to respond. This stage requires attention and control. It can feel slow and even uncomfortable. But over time, something important happens. The actions you repeat begin to require less effort. They become smoother. They start to feel natural. Eventually, you stop thinking about the technique and simply operate with it. To reach that level, consistency is essential. You cannot apply these skills only in important situations and ignore them in everyday conversations. Small interactions matter just as much. The way you speak to a friend, respond to a colleague, or handle a minor disagreement all contribute to your development. Each moment is a training ground. Every conversation is a chance to reinforce the habits of listening, patience, clarity, and emotional awareness. One of the most important habits to repeat is controlled listening. Not just hearing words, but paying attention to meaning, tone, and intent. When you practice this daily, your ability to understand others improves naturally. You begin to notice details without effort. People feel more understood, and as a result, they share more openly. This creates stronger communication without force or manipulation. Another habit is emotional awareness. Recognizing what others feel and responding with calm acknowledgement must become automatic. At first, it requires thought. You consciously identify emotions and choose how to respond. With repetition, this process becomes instinctive. You begin to sense emotional shifts in real time and adjust your communication naturally. This builds trust without needing complex strategies. Patience must also be repeated consistently. In the beginning, staying calm under pressure takes effort. You may feel the urge to respond quickly or push for immediate results, but each time you resist that impulse, you strengthen your control. Over time, patience becomes your default reaction. You no longer feel rushed by external pressure because your internal pace remains steady. Silence is another skill that requires repetition to master. Many people struggle with silence because it feels uncomfortable. They rush to fill it with words. But when you practice allowing silence in conversations, you begin to see its effect. People often continue speaking, revealing more information than they initially intended. With repeated use, silence becomes a natural tool rather than an awkward gap. Preparation before conversations must also become a daily discipline. Before important discussions, take time to think clearly about your purpose, your priorities, and your boundaries. At first, this feels like extra effort, but as you repeat it, preparation becomes second nature. You begin to enter conversations with clarity already established, which leads to more focused and effective communication. Protecting your value is another habit that strengthens through repetition. Every time you uphold your standards, you reinforce your self-respect. Every time you accept less than what is fair, you weaken it. Through consistent practice, you develop a strong internal sense of what is acceptable and what is not. This clarity guides your decisions without hesitation. Clear thinking during conflict must also be practiced repeatedly. Instead of reacting emotionally, you train yourself to pause, observe, and respond with purpose. At first, this requires conscious effort. Over time, it becomes your natural response. You no longer get pulled into unnecessary arguments, because your mind automatically shifts toward understanding and resolution. Smart questioning is another habit that improves with repetition. Asking better questions leads to deeper understanding, but only if practiced regularly. Each conversation is an opportunity to refine how you ask, when you ask, and what you ask. Over time, your questions become more precise and more effective at revealing real needs. Building trust through calm communication also strengthens through repetition. When you consistently respond with stability, people begin to rely on your presence. They trust that you will not react impulsively or escalate tension. This trust is not built in one moment. It is built through repeated behavior across many interactions. Daily repetition also helps you manage internal resistance. There will be days when you do not feel focused or disciplined. In those moments, continuing the habits is what matters most. Even if the effort feels small, consistency keeps your development active. Missing too many repetitions weakens progress. Staying consistent strengthens it. Over time, something powerful happens. These skills no longer feel like separate techniques. They merge into a single way of communicating. You listen naturally. You respond with clarity. You remain calm under pressure. You ask better questions without thinking too hard. You maintain your value without hesitation. Negotiation stops feeling like a process and becomes part of your identity. This transformation does not happen quickly. It is built slowly through repetition. Each conversation adds another layer. Each decision reinforces your habits. Each moment of discipline strengthens your foundation. The more you practice, the more stable your communication becomes. In real life, this means fewer misunderstandings, smoother discussions, and stronger outcomes. People respond differently to you because your communication changes. You become more predictable in a positive way. Others know you will stay calm, listen carefully, and respond thoughtfully. This consistency creates influence without force. It is important to understand that mastery is not about perfection. There will still be moments of mistake or reaction. What matters is returning to the habits immediately afterward. Growth is not defined by never failing, but by how quickly you return to discipline after losing focus. As these habits repeat over time, they shape not only your negotiation skills but your overall thinking. You become more patient in life, more aware in conversations, and more intentional in decisions. Your communication becomes a reflection of steady discipline rather than emotional reaction. This is how negotiation becomes natural. Not through memorization, but through repetition until behavior becomes automatic. When that happens, you no longer need to think about the steps. You simply apply them because they are part of who you are. Carry these habits into every day without exception. Practice them in small and large conversations alike. Be consistent, even when it feels unnecessary. Over time, Repetition will turn effort into ease and ease into mastery. And when negotiation becomes natural, every conversation becomes an opportunity to create better outcomes with clarity, control, and confidence.